best outside hitter for...
There are servers who hit hard, there are servers who hit smart, and then there's Yuji Nishida, who somehow gets more accurate the higher the pressure gets. In matches where most elite servers see their error rate spike past 25%, Nishida has stretches where his ace rate climbs without the usual trade-off. That's not just rare, it's statistically not supposed to happen. So the question isn't how hard he serves, it's why he doesn't break when everyone else does. At the highest level of volleyball, serving is a risk calculation. Jump spin servers operate in a narrow window. Push too hard and the ball flies long. Dial it back and the pass comes clean, the offense stabilizes, and your advantage disappears. That balance becomes even more fragile late in sets. Data across international competitions, Olympics, World Championships, VNL, shows a consistent trend. As pressure rises, service error rates rise with it. Not slightly, significantly. In tight endgame rotations, it's common to see error rates jump beyond 25 to 30%, especially among aggressive jump servers. Even elite names aren't immune. You'll see aces earlier in the set, but at 23 to 23, the ball starts missing. Because the margin shrinks, because the consequences get louder, and because serving at that level is as much psychological as it is mechanical. Except, Nishida doesn't follow that curve. Watch Nishida closely across multiple tournaments, especially with Japan's national team during the major international fixtures, and a pattern starts to show up.
Shimizu's in there, in the front row to try and get a block. It's a beauty, Nishida with an ace!
His serve doesn't just stay aggressive late in sets, it often gets more decisive. There are sequences where he strings together back-to-back aces or forces completely broken receptions at moments where most servers would take pace off, and the numbers reflect it. Nishida consistently sits among Japan's top ace contributors despite not having the highest average serve speed in the world. His jump spin is typically clocked in the low to mid 110 km/h range. Fast, but not exceptional compared to players pushing 120 plus. So if it's not raw speed, what's creating that pressure? It's the combination of precision, timing, and something much harder to quantify: his decision-making under stress. Because statistically, maintaining, or even increasing, serve efficiency in high-pressure moments contradicts the typical performance curve. And yet, that's exactly where Nishida becomes dangerous. Before the psychology even enters the picture, you have to slow everything down and look at what his body is actually doing. Because the reason Nishida holds up under pressure starts here, in the repeatability of his mechanics. Start with the toss. For most jump spin servers, the toss is the first thing that breaks under stress. It drifts slightly behind, or too far in front, or rises just a bit higher than intended. And that tiny deviation forces a chain reaction. The approach changes. The timing shifts, the contact point drops, and suddenly a serve that felt automatic turns into a correction mid-air. Nishida removes that problem almost entirely. His toss stays within a tight vertical channel. It doesn't climb unnecessarily high, which is important because a higher toss introduces more time, and more time invites doubt. His release is quick, controlled off the fingertips, with very little lateral movement. You'll notice the ball doesn't wobble or spin excessively in the air before contact. It just rises, peaks, and drops into the exact window he needs. That consistency is everything. It means his eyes, his steps, and his swing are always syncing to the same reference point. Now watch his approach. Left, right, left. But it's not just the pattern, it's the tempo. There's no hesitation between steps, no stutter to fix the toss. The acceleration is smooth and committed from the first step. By the time his last first 2 steps hit, his body is already loaded. A lot of servers generate power by lengthening the approach. Nishida does the opposite. He keeps it compact, which shortens the timing window between toss and contact. That's a subtle advantage. It reduces the amount of mid-action adjustment he has to make. Less time, fewer variables. And then comes the jump. He doesn't jump excessively high compared to some power servers, but his vertical is efficient. It's directed slightly forward into the court rather than purely upward, which allows him to meet the ball in front of his body instead of directly above it. That forward momentum matters because it transfers into the swing. Pause when the hand hits the ball, then resume.
Now pause right at contact. This is where everything separates. His hitting shoulder is fully rotated through, chest opening toward the target, and the contact point is cleanly out in front. Not late, not drifting back. Out in front at full extension. That one detail changes the entire flight of the serve. When contact happens in front, the server can drive through the ball instead of brushing up on it. Nishida combines that forward drive with a sharp wrist snap over the top, generating heavy topspin without losing forward velocity. The result is a very specific trajectory. The ball travels relatively flat over the net, which reduces the receiver's reaction time. But because of the topspin, it still drops aggressively in the last phase of its flight. That combination is difficult to read. Too flat and the ball flies long. Too much spin and it slows down into an easier pass. Nishida sits right on that edge. And here's where the risk comes in. But instead of reacting to pressure, his body runs the same sequence it always does. Same toss height, same footwork timing, same contact window. And when your mechanics are that stable, something interesting happens. Pressure stops feeling like a disruption and starts feeling like just another repetition. That's where the mental edge begins. For most players, pressure introduces noise. The toss drifts a little. The timing feels slightly off. The mind starts calculating outcomes instead of executing actions. That's when serves miss. But Nishida operates differently. Watch his pre-serve routine. It's quick, minimal hesitation. There's no visible recalibration, no second guessing. That suggests something important. He's not shifting into a different mental state under pressure. He's staying in the same one. Sports psychology often refers to this as maintaining an automatic execution state, where the athlete relies on trained motor patterns rather than conscious control. Most players lose access to that under stress. Nishida seems to lock into it. And that changes everything. Because instead of pressure disrupting his mechanics, it sharpens his commitment to them. He doesn't try to serve safer, he commits to serving fully. And that commitment is what makes the ball harder to read. From the other side of the net, Nishida's serve creates a very specific kind of discomfort. It's not just pace, it's indecision. His serve holds its line just long enough before dipping late due to topspin. That forces receivers to delay their platform angle. Even a fraction of a second matters. You'll see passes drifting off the net, not shanked, just slightly off. Half a meter, maybe less. But at the international level, that's enough. The setter loses tempo options, the middle becomes less available, the block forms earlier, all from a serve that didn't even register as an ace. That's the hidden impact. Nishida isn't just scoring directly, he's breaking offensive systems. And when he does land the ace, it's usually because the receiver was already under pressure from the previous one. Here's where everything comes together. Most elite servers are outcome aware in pressure moments. They feel the score. They feel the risk. And even if their technique stays intact, their intent shifts. Nishida's doesn't. He treats a 24-24 serve the same way he treats a 5-5 serve. Same toss, same swing, same commitment. That sounds simple. It isn't. Because maintaining that consistency under pressure goes against instinct. Instinct tells you to avoid the mistake. Nishida leans into execution instead. That's why his serve looks fearless. But it's not recklessness, it's clarity. He's not trying to avoid losing the point. He's trying to win it the exact same way he always does. And that mindset is what breaks the statistical pattern. So when you watch Yuji Nishida step behind the line, don't just look at the speed gun. Look at the moment. Look at the score. Because that's where the real story is. In a phase of the game where pressure usually creates errors, he turns it into precision. And that's why his serve doesn't just feel dangerous, it feels impossible.